wash and clean and sew and scrub and run and rub-a-dub-dub. Ugh. That's about all poor Cinderella ever did. Now, Cinderella lived with her stepmother and her two ugly stepsisters, and they were so mean to poor Cinderella. Do you know why she got that name? You see, her real name was Ella Sue, but because she always had to clean the ashes and cinders from the fireplace, and they kept her so very busy that she always had a little soot on her face and rags for clothes, well, they called her Cinderella. Now, one day, a proclamation was made by the king. There was going to be a grand ball, and all the young girls in the kingdom were invited. But the king, you see, hoped to find a bride for the prince. Well, the ugly stepsisters started planning what they were going to wear. And of course, Ella did all the ironing and sewing and cleaning and cooking. Well, finally the big day came, and Cinderella saw them all off to the ball. And then she sat down by the fire, and she cried and cried. Well, right out of the fire stepped a sweet little old lady, and she said, "Don't cry, Cinderella. You too can go to the ball." Oh, Cinderella was amazed. But she was good and kind, and she didn't want to hurt the little old lady's feelings, so she didn't say anything. "Go into the garden and bring me a pumpkin," said the old lady. Well, Cinderella brought her the pumpkin. The fairy godmother waved her magic wand, and before you could say your ABCs, the pumpkin had turned into the most beautiful golden coach you ever saw. "Bring me the mouse trap from the pantry," the fairy godmother said. Well, Cinderella got it right away, for now she believed this little lady was really truly magic. The fairy godmother waved her magic wand, and before you could say 1, 2, 3, the mice were turned into 6 prancing white horses. Well, Cinderella brought her the rat from the trap, and he became a fine, fat coachman. "You're going to need footmen," the godmother said. "Go into the garden, and you will find 6 lizards by the well." Well, Cinderella brought her the lizards. Well, the fairy godmother waved her magic wand, and before you could blink your eyes, there were 6 footmen in green and gold livery. "Now it's your turn," said the fairy godmother, and with a wave of her wand, the fairy godmother turned her rags into satin, her safety pins into diamonds and rubies, her bandana into a pearl tiara, and her bare feet were covered with the prettiest glass slippers you ever saw. "Now go and enjoy yourself," said the fairy godmother, "but you must leave before midnight, for the footmen will change back to lizards, coachmen into rats will turn right back into rats and mice, and the coach, you won't believe that coach, it'll be just an old pumpkin again. Now, as for you, my dear, well, you will just be a cinder wench again instead of a princess." Well, Cinderella promised to remember, and off she went to the ball. Cinderella had never imagined the palace could be that beautiful. And the prince had never imagined that a girl could be so beautiful. Well, he danced every single dance with Cinderella, and no one could tear them apart. Well, the king was delighted, for at last he felt that they had indeed found a match for his son. It was so glorious. Cinderella did not hear the clock. Then she looked up. Could it be? Was the little hand and the big hand really on top of each other? Could it truly be midnight? Oh, there was no time to lose, so she began to run. The prince chased after her, but she was too quick. In her haste, she lost one of the glass slippers. She leaped into the coach, and off they went home. And not a moment too soon, for truly the coach and footman and the horses and the coachman vanished, And in their place were mice, lizards, a pumpkin, and a rat. The next morning, Cinderella asked her stepsisters if they'd enjoyed the ball. "Oh, what music," they said. "What food, and oh, how handsome the prince was." But that's not all. A princess appeared, and the prince fell madly in love with her. "Who was she?" asked Cinderella. "No one knows," said the other stepsister, "but they say that the prince would give half his kingdom to find her again." Cinderella was so happy, for she had fallen in love with the prince too. But then she was very sad, for she knew that she would never see him again. Oh, he would never have anything to do with a sooty kitchen maid. The king proclaimed that the sad prince could not find his beautiful princess, and so he had agreed to marry the girl who could fit into the glass slipper. My goodness, everybody was so excited. Even the ugly stepsisters thought that perhaps they had a chance too. Well, first of all, the princesses, and then all of the duchesses in the kingdom, and then the ladies of the court, all tried to squeeze their feet into the slipper. But it was too tiny for them to get their big feet in. Then all of the daughters of the wealthy were given a chance, but none of them were able to fit into the tiny slipper either. One day, there came a knock on the door of Cinderella's house. The two stepsisters ran to the door, and there it was, the slipper. They tried to force their feet into the slipper, but it was far too small. Oh, the prince looked very sad. You see, by this time, he had tried every girl in the kingdom. There just weren't any left. "May I try?" asked Cinderella. Well, those stepsisters, they roared with laughter, but the prince looked at the frail little kitchen maid and, feeling sorry for her, said, "Of course." And of course, the slipper fit. Well, the sisters were amazed, and the prince could not believe his eyes. Suddenly, the fairy godmother appeared. She waved her wand, and Cinderella became the princess at the ball, even more beautifully dressed than before. The ugly stepsisters and the evil stepmother fell to their knees, begging Cinderella to forgive them for being so mean and so cruel to her. When the prince realized he had found his beautiful princess, he asked her to marry him, and they all lived happily ever after.